Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Leo in August 2020. What's going on, Leo? How are you guys doing? I hope that you're doing well. I almost forgot what I normally say. I think I was going to say swell. Sure, I hope you're swell too. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, guys, happy birthday, Leos. Welcome to your birthday season. Well, it officially began in January, maybe for some of you, in July. So happy birthday to the July Leos. Happy birthday to my fellow August Leos. Wherever you are and whenever you celebrate your beautiful birthday, I hope you guys have an amazing day, okay? There's still a pandemic outside, so please be safe, please be cautious with whatever you're doing. And in general, for anyone who's watching, Leo or not, I hope that you are safe, happy, and healthy at this time, okay? All right, let's get into it. General announcements. Leo, I'm going to be going live here on the channel for your birthday season on August the 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join me, get a question answered by your girl, Jay, for your birthday season, just go ahead and join me here on the channel. You'll see posts on my Instagram and on my community tab here that kind of signal in and remind you of when that's going to happen. So if you're free and you want to hang out, come and join me. Cross watchers, you're welcome there as well. Just know that all questions and answers will be specifically for Leos in the chat, okay? Anything else? Oh yeah, shout out to my friend and my client and a wonderful supporter of mine, Vanessa. She made me this lovely bracelet while she was on vacation. And so, you know, when you get love, my friends, you should give love. So I really do appreciate Vanessa for making me this. She didn't have to. She just volunteered herself to spend her time making it. So I really do appreciate it. And it's really cute, right? It's very colorful, and a girl likes colors. I love, like, if one funny thing about me, and then we're going to get into it, is I love colors. Like when I'm like in like the paint aisle or like the arts and crafts aisle, and there's like a bunch of colors and paints and crayons and stuff, I just like get so excited. So I really love like bright colors, even though I don't wear them. But anyway, all right, guys, let's get into it. Leo, I have shuffled off camera. That's your main spread there. I'm going to shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamp is already in the description box if you want to jump ahead. You can also find down in the description box the information you need if you want to purchase a personal reading with me. If you have a question before you place an order, just go ahead and email me at the same address and I'll answer you as soon as I can. And also you'll see the link to the Instagram that I mentioned earlier down there. It is EmpathicFire Tarot at Instagram. Boop, in case you missed it. If you want to follow me over there, I'm interpreting oracle cards over there, doing a couple of pick-a-cards. I'm probably going to do another one next week. So if you're interested in following me and seeing me on that platform and, you know, the different ways that I work with spirit, feel free to drop me a follow over there, okay? All right, Leo, let's get into it for your August reading. Let's see the outcome for Leo in August 2020. Please show me the outcome for Leo in August 2020. Please show me. Oh my, okay. Oh, well, isn't that something? I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it as both. Bottom of the deck is going to be the overall energy. So you had one fly out. Well, you had two fly out, and one was face up and one was face down. But we're going to take both, which means we're going to have to shuffle the little board around a little bit. So give me a second while we rearrange things here. Okay. Okay, that doesn't look too bad, right? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, so let's flip what came face down for you, Leo. Oh, and one part of that outcome. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right, let me see where Leo is in August 2020. Please show me Leo in August 2020. Please show me. All right, that was pretty clear. I like that, though. Yeah, that was clear. All right, and I don't know why I'm still finicking with this. It was fine, and then I opened my eyes again, and my hands immediately start trying to straighten shit again. Anyway, Leo, coming into your reading, whoop, there you go. come in with the energy of Eight of Air, aka Eight of Swords. Interference. So some of you feel something in your life is being interfered with, or you might be viewing yourself, or someone might be viewing you as an interference, Leo. You know, yeah, please, it's a general, apply it as you see fit. Could be you, could be someone else I'm talking to. But more to the point, it feels as though disruption, haywire, in some of your cases, like a lack of communication or a lack of clear communication, and just general static is what I'm getting, which is interesting because, I mean, looking at the image here, it's very clear, you know, birds flying in the sky. No, maybe it's overcast, but we can clearly see that these are a flock of birds, perhaps different types of birds. Maybe that's the interference. Ah, maybe that's it. Um, so, mm, right, because when birds fly in a flock, don't they usually fly in formation? And then you've got like this hawk or whatever it is. I don't know what kind of bird that is. That's sort of like disrupting that pattern. So there's maybe a disruption to a pattern in your life, which could be good, or there, if anything, okay, not with anything, but perhaps more correctly, it's a disruption to what was expected or what is perceived as normal, right? Um, which again can be good, but for some reason there's this, you know, the traditional depiction of this card is a woman who's bound with ropes and blindfolded, and she's surrounded by these swords. And the message that we normally get is that someone feels stuck, someone feels, you know, tied to a situation. And maybe that does factor in for some of you as well. But the truth of the matter in both that card and this modern depiction is that there isn't really anything tying you or someone else to a situation. There's actually a lot more freedom than what we would first possibly observe in the situation, right? Because like I said, those birds that are behind this one in the foreground normally would be flying in a pattern. This looks very haphazard. This looks very, you know, disruptive, right? Or disrupted, yeah? But aren't they all birds? Aren't they all flying in the sky? In a matter of a few moments, can't all of those birds sort of recalibrate themselves and get back to whatever they're doing, assuming this bird in the foreground is some type of interference or is some type of, you know, disruption to their pattern, you know? So that kind of applies where I think, Leo, in your situation, whether it's you or someone else, there's this belief that there is interference, or there's this belief that there is some type of upset to the apple cart, so to speak. And really there's not. Or more aptly, or excuse me, not more aptly, but more traditionally, again, going back to the traditional interpretation of this card, where someone believes there is a stuckness, where someone believes there is a certain inescapable element to their life, or factor to their life, or facet of their life. It's actually not true. A lot of self-doubt exists in the Eight of Air. A lot of misinterpretation of information exists there. A lot of subjective viewpoint is there, which is, you know, unavoidable because we all have subjective points of view, right? You're living a very singular life, so to speak. So what you see is what you see, and it's hard for most people to totally escape subjectivity, you know. But that's kind of what that feels like. It feels like from someone's point of view, yours, someone else's, you know, take your pick, there's like no recourse in a situation, which is not necessarily the full truth, okay? I feel it could be circumstantial, yes. Environmental, yes, okay. Based on other factors, based on the presence or the influence or the whatever of other people within the context of a specific, yeah, it's just like the grand scheme of things is this is not true. That's what that feels like. The grand scheme of things, this is not true. There is no interference. There isn't really a disruption. And more importantly, there is no stuckness. Life itself is dynamic. The energy of life, your spirit, your soul is a dynamic thing, an entity, energy source, what have you. So there's never stuckness. Okay, that's very interesting. So what else is happening? Let's get into it. What else is happening here? Oh my God, my eye just started watering heavily, and it's not tears, so I don't know what that was. Anyway, what else happens for Leo? Please show me. Okay. So there's like a convinced nature happening here. There's like a heavily convinced mindset. Thank you. That, okay, we'll just slide it up like we were doing the other day. Excuse me. Don't trim your nails too short, people. You won't be able to pick up tarot cards. Anyway, two of air in reverse, aka two of swords in reverse. In this deck, it is associated with the word equilibrium, but in reverse. So that could speak directly to someone's mental space, because again, air and swords relate to mental capacities, our mental body, right? And equilibrium equals or signals to us that things are in balance. When it's in reverse, it's not so much. So literally, no offense to anybody, no shade to anybody. Someone in your situation, or you yourself, Leo, could be dealing with issues of bipolar disorder, any other quote unquote instability when it comes to your thought process, whether that's an official diagnosis or not. I'm not diagnosing anybody. Please don't take what I just said to the bank and, start telling your doctor, well, this tarot reader told me I was bipolar. Absolutely not. It would have to come through an official channel. But I'm just saying, that's reality. Some people have been absolutely diagnosed with something, particular to the way their brain chemistry works, the way their body responds to certain stimuli on a physiological level, whatever. But and this incorporates those who don't have a diagnosis and may not ever need or be warranted to be diagnosed with anything. The point of the matter is, in this situation, someone is convinced that their circumstances are what we were discussing with your first card. There's this belief, possibly anchored in self-doubt, possibly anchored in too much subjectivity, or not enough. It can go either way, really. But I feel as though someone here, you or someone else in this storyline, and I don't even know what area this is affecting, so it's super general, but I feel as though someone is unfairly or it's like a heavy level of being convinced of something that's not the truth, or something that lacks objective perspective. It's too anchored in a subjective or it's either too subjective, it lacks objectivity, or it's like, oh, what's that called? Okay, I'm just gonna use this because I can't get the word, but there's a song, and I assume there are several songs where he talks about this. But Eminem, the rapper Eminem, he in one of his songs talks about having Munchausen syndrome or something like that, where his mother, the greatest love of his life, sarcasm, he has, obviously a troubled past with his mother, but his mother, Munchausen syndrome, convinced him that he was always sick. It's something like that going on here, where someone is convinced due to influence from other people that this is your circumstance, this is who you are, this is what's going on with you. So maybe there's a potential of a misdiagnosis here. Just throwing that out there because I did mention it already about diagnosis, but maybe there has been a misdiagnosis. Maybe there's been, in some of your cases, like too much medication, or over medicated, or something like that. And because it's gone on for so long, it has left someone feeling stuck, in whatever situation or mindset that they have and feeling as if they have no choice. Because the Two of Air, Two of Swords, is about making choice. When we see it in the upright, it's about making choice and not wanting to make choice, or making a choice and kind of avoiding it, right? Or, taking your sweet old time, something like that. With it in the reverse, it's not always the opposite. So because I said that's not about making choice, when it's in the reverse, it doesn't mean, oh yeah, so you're going to make choice. No, I actually feel this is like a doubling down of that energy, because, it removes choice. Thank you. Somebody in your midst, I'm going to say in your midst, because I can't imagine many Leos are having this done to them. Okay. They're like, to be fair, yes. They're like, to be fair, yes. Okay, so to be fair, there are some Leos who feel this way, that you have no choice. But the bulk of the Leos that I'm talking to, I think you are witnessing this. I think that you are seeing a relative or a friend go through something like this. Or maybe this was something in your past. Or maybe this is something that you're finally confronting from your past. Maybe you are like Eminem and you're like, listen, mom and dad, or whoever raised you. You convinced me I had all these kinds of illnesses. You convinced me I had all these conditions. And now that I'm an adult and I'm making my own way in the world, I see that was never true. Why would you do that? Okay, see, that's coming in. Why would you do that to me? Why would you do that to me? Something like that. Or why would you do that to that person? Something like that. But this is a lack of choice. This Two of Air in reverse. This is a lack of choice. This is a lack of personal, autonomous choice. Interesting. It's like okay. For those where that kind of hits, or it kind of comes a little close to home, I feel like that was a strategic move on behalf of whoever was doing that to you, or you were doing it to someone else. To be fair, Leo, you could have been the perpetrator of this energy. So, if I just called you to the carpet, so be it. But I feel as though there was a deliberate setting up of this to make someone dependent. Thank you. To make someone dependent on another person, to make someone dependent on a situation, to make someone dependent on money, whatever it is. That's purposeful, to remove to influence a person to feel like they have no choice, they have no escape, they have no other option but to rely on this person over here or you, whatever it is. Okay, so that's a lot. I'm going to take a sip of tea because that's a lot. What else happens for Leo? Please show me. Okay. There's like a separateness here. Like there's someone in a family dynamic, in a friendship circle, people that that you work with, they might be going through this, or again, you might feel this way yourself. There's someone here who feels alone, even in the room full of people. There's someone who feels alone, even in the context of a relationship, of a family dynamic, of a friendship circle, what have you. No one understands what I'm going through. No one would believe what I'm going through. And it's just, I walk this path alone. I walk this path alone. And that's really sad because, again, that's subjectively true to the person as they experience it, as they perceive it. But objectively, it's not true. It's almost virtually impossible, right? There might be times of loneliness. There might be, why am I talking about this? Let's go ahead and get into it. Because of this, the Hermit. Major Arcana for Virgo. You could be dealing with a Virgo, but you don't have to be. And so what was I just saying? There's this feeling of walking a path alone. And look at this older man. Well, very old man, okay? He's not in his middle life, okay? This is someone who has lived a life, and not that the Hermit wants to be alone, not that, the Hermit desires to be, like Boo Radley or something like that. No, but there's a perception of the self that no one will understand me. Like that's kind of the first message. We're going to get into the deeper context of what the Hermit is in a second. But on the surface, someone says, I walk this path alone because no one will ever understand me. What I've been through, the things I've seen, what I've learned about myself or learned about my experience, etc., 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 right? It's very insular. And that is very relative to Virgo and energy. Virgos are super insular. They're super self-analytical, or analytical, period. Okay, they analyze everything. No shade, but they do. They spend a lot of time in their mind, ruled by Mercury. That makes a lot of sense, yeah? And that's kind of what I sense here. I sense that someone has a very insular experience that is very different than their external experience. Okay? So someone in their mental capacity, their emotional capacities, spends a lot of time inward, spotlights on the self. And nobody, I'm seeing like a child in a room playing by themselves with like toys and shit. And like I said, that could, yes, okay, that could be historically true for some of you. You may have grown up in such a way where you would just spend hours by yourself playing with your toys, even though maybe you had brothers and sisters. Obviously, for the most part, for most of you, you had some type of adult authority in that house, and that adult authority wasn't really paying attention to you. And there's just like this, possibly because that's how you grew up, that's kind of how you view yourself as, well, I never had friends, and I was never close with my relatives, therefore I'm just this lone wolf or this lonely little fish in a big old pond with no other fish to swim around. And it's just like, that is hard to break if it's historical, if that's how you were, if that's how you grew up, if that's how you were conditioned by your family. Maybe you had overprotective parents who, curbed that out of you. Maybe you wanted to be social. I want to go down and play with my friend, Letitia next door. And your family's like, no, you're not going over there. Well, can I go across the street and play with little Bobby? Nope, you can't go over there either. It's like someone either, no, yes. And they're like, nope, it was very influenced. Okay. So influenced by, like I said earlier, environment. I use the word environment over here. So something influenced a person to walk this lonely path. And that's how they have spent a lot of their life, having a very singular internal space, which, obviously might make sense. Of course, your internal space is singular, but like, no, when they envision themselves, they don't usually envision themselves next to anyone else. I'm by myself, even if I'm next to someone else. Even if I'm next to my best friend, I'm by myself. Even if I'm standing in the room with my parents or with my brothers and sisters or with my husband or my wife, I'm still by myself. I hope that makes sense to you. Now, how this feeds back into tarot, because I think that was more like it's still kind of spiritual, because I think that could be someone's karmic path, just to be honest. That feels like for some, that's like a karmic wound that is being worked out in this lifetime, hopefully. But also it's like a psychological thing. It's just like, without, using anything to do with tarot, that there is, a big chunk of meat for a very accomplished psychologist or psychiatrist or any person in that field to really, take a stab at, so to speak. Anyway, more to the or more on line with what it means coming from tarot. Excuse me. There is something to learn at this time when facing this, because I think I said that, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. Again, I feel like this is either happening now and someone is facing it, but it has deep roots. Everything that we've talked about so far has deep roots. And because this is not something that's been happening over the past, year or so of your life, Leo, or someone else's life, whoever this is, right? This is something that's gone on for a very long time. It has kind of always been the norm. And because it's been the norm, the hermit comes into the scene, not only to signify that path of, or that position potentially of loneliness, but it comes out here in the reading to signal the work that has to be done to sort of combat that, to kind of face it, to kind of seek the wisdom that exists in that stance, or that belief of self-isolation, or standing alone and being alone and not having anyone to call a friend or a loved one. You know what I mean? This is heavy. The Hermit is a spiritual card in the sense that the Hermit seeks to become enlightened through their own pain or through their discomfort or through the patterns in their life that have proven to be troublesome. Okay. As we talked about before, this is a very aged gentleman. It doesn't have to be a man. I'm not talking specifically to men or masculine energy. It applies to everybody. But what's pictured here is this older male. And I'm getting like with the graffiti and stuff behind him, like his life has been, or the path that he's walked has been not an easy one, but he's lived to tell the tale, so to speak, right? And when you can go through a lot, emotionally traumatic stuff, mentally traumatic, physically traumatic, whatever, and you can live to tell about it, that's sort of where a lot of healing can come from. And the irony here is that the hermit isn't known to be super expressive, isn't like, a chatterbox, isn't, is somebody who, wants to write a memoir, okay? This is someone who, I suppose the talking or the communication needs to be done within the self or to the self, right? Make some affirmations yes, make affirmations. That's a very key point in manifesting and co-creating with the universe and drawing in abundance, right? Is to affirm. But more to the point is to admit to self, right? So for the person who feels alone, I think they often make it as in a statement, which is not how you manifest, which is not how you draw in abundance, is to say, I am alone. No. You'd have to separate it or in some way state it as that's who you were or that's where your experience has come thus far, but how you're going forward is not to speak in those ways. I am not lonely. At one point maybe I was, but I'm not anymore. And I mean, and you'd have to like really research on how to make those delineations and make those differences. But I feel that someone needs to change the narrative of their life. Okay? Like I said, the hermit energy related back to Virgoan energy can be highly self-critical, can feel not good enough. Okay, because Virgo and energy has a tendency to lean towards perfection, to lean towards things being just so, just right. Okay, and when things don't hit that mark or hit that goal of being on the money exactly as expected, it's almost deemed as a complete failure. There's a lot of black and white. It either works or it doesn't work. It's either a pass or a fail. A lot of times with Virgo energy, right? That is not helpful because life is not black and white for the most part. Okay. And also it allows this person to profess or believe, again, subjectively, or almost indulging too much in subjectivity, that if I'm not this, then I must be the other thing. If I'm not good, then I must be bad. If I'm not right, then I must be wrong. If I'm not successful, I must be a failure. And it's just like, come on. Cut yourself a break, okay? And I feel many Leos, some of you might relate to that a little bit, but the bulk of the Leos I'm talking to, that's not your vibe. I think that you're dealing with a friend or a close family member or just someone that you know and care about who's dealing with this. And if I'm honest, I haven't really felt Leo is here strongly. I feel that you're very here in the secondary or the tertiary spot. So this might be something that you come to learn about a family member. Maybe, your great aunt Bessie was like this and you're like, oh, I didn't know that about great aunt Bessie. Wow. Okay. It's just like, I feel that you're contextually learning this through the grapevine, so to speak. Interesting. What else happens? Oh, wait, are we done? No, we're not. They're like, no. So the hermit, also again, that Virgoan sixth house energy, the purpose of him to show up in your reading is not only to highlight the problems, is also to kind of heal them, okay? One of the things that, I don't know why, like one of the first things I learned about the sixth house was that it embodies nursing, and you'll hear me say it a ton of times here on my channel. What is a nurse? A nurse is someone, or a doctor. What are they in the business of? Making you feel better, healing what ails you, right? But often, if you think about procedures that you go into the hospital for, or, surgeries that you have to undertake, they actually have to hurt you first before they heal you, right? So I've never broken a bone in my body, but I've seen a couple of medical shows and a few medical documentaries, and I know people who have. You might have, a certain break or a certain injury to your body, and the doctor will tell you, the nurse will tell you, well, what we're going to have to do first is we're going to have to break that completely, and then we're going to reset the bone, or we're going to have to take it completely out of the socket, and then we're going to have to reset it, or whatever, or we're going to completely have to detach this before we can reattach it. Does that make sense? So there's an uncomfortability, or rather a sort of expected pain when the hermit comes up. We expect to encounter some shit that don't feel good while we're on the path or in the business of trying to feel good. So if this is about conquering some type of childhood wounding, conquering some type of trauma from the past, conquering self-doubt that maybe didn't happen in childhood, but maybe, once you became a person of the world, you felt not a part of it. Maybe you did, maybe, like I said, for that parent who was like sort of always hovering and always kind of like in control of your life, right? Always there to protect you, always there that can be, again, I said that earlier over here. Lack of choice, making someone dependent. No, you can't go play with your friends. Come play with mommy. Come play with dad. Let's have fun within the house, right? Within the family. So then when you go out, you haven't learned those certain skills on how to trust or how to ingratiate or how to make long-lasting friendships. And that could make you feel super lonely. If you're an adult in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you don't have like a close friend that you can call to, or lean on, who's a peer, and your best friend, no offense, if you're 40, is like your 70-year-old mother, that's kind of strange. Not to say it's bad. It's kind of strange if that is your best friend and your only friend. Again, I feel that was maybe not deliberate in the sense of I want my child to be dependent on me always, but that was deliberate in the sense of maybe your mother or your father or whoever raised you was in themselves codependent, and they sort of imparted that to you. It made you codependent on them, and you might have this very tight dynamic between you and a family member, and it can even go to friends, whoever it is. Now you go out into the world wanting to make friends, and you're not prepared because your entire life, your mother or your brother or whoever has been your best friend. And so now, God forbid, I don't see it here, but I'm just speaking to what can happen in life. God forbid, though, that person passes away or that person is no longer in your life. Now you have this big, open vacancy in your life, socially speaking, emotionally speaking, and you feel alone because you haven't built the skills and that will allow you to create a long-term partnership or a long-term friendship with someone else, right? Interesting. There's like this, anyway, so there's a facing of that pain. There's a facing of this wounding. There's a facing of this conditioning. Let's call it that maybe. And that's going to be hard. That's going to be super hard. Yes, that's going to be super hard. Because I feel there's a fidelity here. Hierophant card, major arcana for Taurus. Could be dealing with a Taurus, but you don't have to be. This could be a tradition in your family in some sense of the word, where or some tradition in your life. It doesn't even have to be related to your family. You could be the black sheep who just like never marries. No offense, there's nothing wrong with being not married, by the way. Plenty of people live fabulous lives and they don't marry ever, okay? But there could be like, sort of you're the outlier in the family because you don't marry or because you spend so much time alone. You kind of convince yourself like that's what's meant to be. Like there's something here about the challenge, what you might have to face, what you might have to challenge, what you might have to question and consider and sort of quote unquote face your demons with is what is expected, what is traditional, what is supposed to be. Like that all encompasses, or that is all encompassed with the Hierophant energy. What is supposed to be, okay? And challenging tradition, challenging what we expect of ourselves or what other people expect of us is super hard for many people. Sometimes I struggle with that, but ultimately I'm kind of my own person for the most part. And actually that's unfair because I am my worst critic. Absolutely. Anyway, for you guys, Leo, I think whoever this is pertaining to, whether it's you or someone else, I think they struggle with expectations that they perceive or believe in, and then what exists in reality. Again, with that internal space versus the external space, right? So inside they might feel one way, but the outside has them supposedly they should be feeling something else. So again, in a room full of people, I'm supposed to be all lit up and I'm supposed to be so excited and so happy for this family reunion. I'm supposed to be so elated that people have come to celebrate me on my birthday, if this is you, Leo. But again, in a room full of smiling faces or smiling faces on a Zoom call, whatever, you just feel so alone. And that feels like, for some of you, or whoever this is, that feels like what's supposed to be. But again, I don't believe that's true. For various reasons, I don't believe that's true. Yes, there are people who can live solo lives, but no person is alone. No one spirit, no one soul, no one human is meant to be alone. It's not survivable. It's not even desirable, truly. I think it can be conditioned. I think a person can be convinced. I think a person can feel, I have moments of loneliness, but to be perpetually, entirely, from start to finish of your life, you're meant to be a solo figure? No, that's false. In my estimation, that's absolutely false. But I think someone has this self-belief that they are, because you see the trajectory, the movement of the Hermit is going towards the Hierophant card. So this could involve some sort of conflict, or not even a conflict. Like I said, it's a facing up to that self-belief, right? Because Hierophant tradition not only also embodies, entities of power and influence such as media, religion, schools, medicine, government, all that kind of stuff, right? But it also speaks to religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs also, because what's pictured there. I mean, it's the Dalai Lama and it is a religion, but it's a very modern depiction. It's not the Pope, it's the damn Dalai Lama. So it's a little more open than traditional depictions of the Hierophant. So there is a facing of traditional beliefs, of self prophesized belief, okay? It's a doozy because this is ongoing work. This is not some, I'll take care of that next weekend. This is not some one and done type of thing. If this is chronic or conditional, everything that we've talked about, it will take a long time. Both of these are earth energy, right? So earth in tarot is the slowest moving element. So this will take years. Absolutely. If someone's already begun this work, you or someone else, that's great. If they haven't, buckle in because it's going to be a while, or read it and bring a good book. It's going to be a minute to not necessarily undo, but I think it's going to take a while to make sense of, because like I was saying about the Hermit again related to sixth house energy and the embodying of nursing and health and wellness. It's not automatic. When you go and get a surgery, when you go and get a cast put on your arm, it's not you wear a cast for a week and it's over. A lot of people, you're in cast for months on end, waiting for your body to heal, waiting for those fissures, those fragments of your bone to, fuse together again. You see what I mean? So this is a long endeavor that someone should, be careful with the use of should, could. This is a long endeavor that someone could choose to embark on. Should they? To bring it right back. Should they? They probably should, but I don't know. This person and whoever it is, you or whoever, it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge. What else happens, please? Yes. Daughter of water. That's always fun to say. Daughter of water. Water sign energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, could be dealing with water sign, but you don't have to be. AKA the Page of Cups. Potential. So much potential. Now, Leo, Leos love potential. Leos love the idea of something. All fire signs do, by the way. It's not just Leo. Uh, but Leos love potential in the sense of it's easy for a fire sign to see how nothing could turn into something, or how something could turn into something else, how something could evolve and change over time, or with the right amount of effort, with the right resources, we could make this into that. That's great. The issue with the daughter of water is that the potential is there, but the commitment might be lacking, waning. Let's say waning. The challenge with the daughter of water, Page of Cups, is that, yeah, they might be enthusiastic, and yeah, they might have, the dream or the goal in their mind, but they can easily lack practicality. That can easily all be just a fantasy. That can all just easily be in their head. This is what I see for myself in the future. It can be da 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 da. Like I said with the language earlier about using manifesting language. It can be this, or I hope that, and da da da. That's not an affirmed statement. That's a possibility, right? So this person, whoever they are, you or someone else, they don't necessarily think in concrete ways, or the way in which they seek to manifest is not concretely. They might say, like I said, they might say things, well, I hope I'm able to get better, or I hope I'm able to face these issues, or I wish I was more da 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 da. I wish, I hope, I think, I that, blah, 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 instead of saying I am this. I will this. You know what I mean? It's subtle differences like that. Now, that could be how some of you guys talk about yourselves or talk about your own circumstances. I would challenge that. And I have to do it too. There are days where I'm just like, man, I hope this works out. And then I have to like slap myself, cosmically slap myself in the face. Like, no, Jay, you are going to do that. I'm like, yeah, I am. So I get it. It's not always easy to constantly be in that affirmed state of mind, but that's all part of manifestation. That's all part of activation and self-actualization. Okay. More about this person. Let's see. As it is a daughter of water, this could be some of your children, regardless of whether it's a female or a male, regardless again of water sign or not. Page of water can indicate a child. So this could be your child. This could be a cousin of yours, or a niece or a nephew of yours, something like that. More to the point though, this energy of this person, regardless of how old they are, is very young. This person has an energy marker of youth. So they might appear young physically, even though they're not. They could be like, 40 something, but they look like they're in like their late 20s, something like that. And if they don't look young, they just might act young, which again, going back to that coddling situation that I spoke of earlier. If this person, you or whoever it is, was brought up and they were sheltered, right? Coddled, helicopter parents, don't touch that, don't do this, don't go there, don't speak to that person, da 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 da. And like I told you, now that you're an adult and that relationship with your parent or whoever raised you is kind of gone, or it's less influential, and you're out here in the big bad world trying to be an adult in your 30s, but you have the mentality or the experience of someone who is like a teenager or even younger, what can you do with that other than perform or be sort of viewed as an immature person? Not to say immature like nanny nanny boo boo and playing pranks, like immature as in you don't know. Naive is maybe the better word. Naive potentially. So there's a lot of soft vulnerability here that this person has, and because of these two energies, I feel that is part of the internal experience. Like I told you, one of the visuals I saw here was someone, a child in a room playing with their toys by themselves. That could be like someone's like safe space. Not that they do that as an adult, but like that could be a memory that they really cling to. Like in that time, I felt really safe and I felt really secure. I felt really, there's something about actually reveling in the alone time and space, even though it makes this person feel lonely. Aha! Got it. If this person doesn't feel connected to other people, or it's hard for them to connect to other people, it's hard for them to make relationships that last or are of substance, or where they feel valued, where they feel appreciated, where they feel welcomed and a part of. It would make sense that the same thing that ails them, the same thing that hurt them, that made them be sort of codependent or lacking in this kind of maturity, that would also be a comfort to them, because that was when they understood themselves, or that's how they understand themselves. I understand myself to be alone. I understand myself to be this child that has no friends, or this person that doesn't really connect to other people. So when I'm by myself, I feel fine, even though there's this, I'm telling you, on a spiritual level, boom, 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 and even with the sun I see coming up, there's a craving for connectiveness. And the Page of Water would be totally into that. Emotionally vulnerable, seeking out. Pages seek, or seek, they seek to learn. They seek to learn, or they seek to experience what they represent. So water, cups, equaling emotions. This person seeks emotional fulfillment, or seeks some type of emotional connectivity and effusiveness, or being able to relate to others on those levels, but they got a lot of shit they got to go through before they can actually get that. And that's why they show up as a daughter or a page. They're just learning this. And again, if this is somebody who's in their 30s or 40s, it's kind of weird, because most people in their 30s and 40s are already expecting to meet other people who are mature just like them. But this person is not mature in that way. Okay? Now, final card. Oh, okay, I got you. They seek. Ah, okay, got you. Okay, so Sun, secondary major for Leo. So you show up here in your secondary energy. So some of you, this person seeks you. Oh, yes, that's double, because I just used the word seek because that is relative to pages. But then also it comes above the Hermit energy. And what did I say about the Hermit? On a journey, self-reflection, like a nurse or a doctor. There's a diagnosis or there's a problem, but we're going to have to, break the bone, and then we're going to set the bone and all that stuff. It's seeking to heal. It's seeking to get better, right? So that's what's going on here. In some of your cases, this person seeks you. You may or may not know this, Leo. You may or may not know this. You might be a therapist. You might be a counselor. This could be, one of the next clients you encounter. Or one that you're working with now, and you're kind of like, excuse me, still getting to know this person, still trying to understand their circumstance, whatever. You may know this person already, but you might not know that this is what they're going through. And that would make a lot of sense also, because the Hermit is not, I told you this, he's not a super communicative energy. The Hierophant only communicates information that is necessary, that is deemed pertinent to the situation. So these two are not overly expressive. The beginnings of expression happen when we get to the Page of Water. And even if you go back here with the 8 of Air and the 2 of Air in reverse, that lacks communication. So this has been a very slow build up to actually expression, because that's also what happens with the Sun. The Sun is expressive. The Sun is expansive. The Sun is illuminating, okay? Nothing is hidden under the light of the Sun. So basically, Leo, this person might seek you out in order to express truth to you, whether you know them or not, whether you have history with them or not, or this person already knows you and they kind of come to you in that sense of, well, I can tell Leo this because I know Leo is good to not keep it under wraps, but there's a warmth coming out of this card. And whoever is going towards the Sun, whether it be you or someone else, wants this. I want to be warmed by the energy of the Sun, by the energy of Leo, or whoever is in this energy. I feel mostly Leo, it's you guys, okay? Not just because it's the Leo card, but I feel I have contextually been talking about someone else's experience, and you don't know it, or you know a little bit about it, or you will soon know about, whatever. And when this route comes towards you, or excuse me, when this person on their route comes towards you, thank you, it will be enlightening for you, for them, for both of you, for everybody involved. And there just will be it's like I don't want to say it's a revelation, but maybe it will be. It feels positive. It feels communal. So it could be something like that. Right, with these sunflowers in the field, right? It could be communal. So again, something, if maybe you go to a therapy session, Leo, so it could be something like group therapy, um, something like a meditation circle, or a group of people practicing yoga or practicing something together. And you might learn of someone else's, family history, and you might, create a bond with them. Maybe it's similar to yours, or maybe you've never heard of anything like that, but you have all this sympathy and empathy for this person. And not to say like you would be condescending or patronizing towards them. No, I just get the sense of this page in their hermit phase, or still within their hermit energy, is seeking the sun. And I feel you either embody the sun energy, Leo, or you also are seeking that, and you guys might meet there. You might converge at that place at that time with that same goal in mind. The sun is super positive in tarot. Like I said, it illuminates, it warms, it gives life. If you think about what the sun is in our solar system, it gives life to everything, practically. Damn near practically everything on this earth needs the sun in some form or fashion to survive, right? Just the removal of the sun in terms of heat source would kill this earth for the most part. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to say like, oh, if you don't get around a Leo, if you're a cross watcher, you're going to die. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is there's such a sustenance, there's such a nurturing and like a nectar that happens with this energy, period. I don't care who it is. This person could be a freaking Capricorn. No shade to a Capricorn, but that, it doesn't matter who is there. But that's what is being offered, or that's what is needed in the situation, right? Okay. Outcome. Ugh. Outcome. Excuse me. 5 of Pentacles, aka 5 of Earth, torment, and the Father of Water in reverse, aka the King of Cups. I'll show you him in the upright just so you can get a better look at him. While you get a look, I'm going to take a sip. So Leo, I think everything I just said might be falling on deaf ears, if I'm honest. It feels like, thank you. It feels like someone, possibly this Daughter of Water, this Page of Water, but more importantly, the situation itself, it's not reached a point of emotional maturity yet, or being open to it, being open to reciprocity, being open to expression, being open to even, like when the King of Water is in the reverse, he's not how he normally would be, right? I get the sense of resistance. I get the sense of deflection or avoidance here. I get the sense of cop out, or the vulnerability that would be required of this person, whoever it is. Water sign energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, but again, they don't have to be a water sign. That vulnerability that's required is like almost too much of an ask, or it's being viewed as not possible to do so, or to be that. Okay, here we go. Oh, that's very specific. Okay. The emotional vulnerability that the King of Water would normally, or excuse me, the Father of Water would normally exhibit is unavailable because of this. Where normally someone would be open, or at least would hope to be open, available, sensitive, expressive, all that stuff, right? It's contingent, or it's tied to this element of 5 of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles, or 5 of Earth, in this deck, also called Torment, is a lack mentality, which we talked about earlier in your reading, right? Okay? There's a lack here. In terms of Pentacles, in terms of Earth, could be a lack of resources. So there's, okay. Very specifically, using that example that I spoke of earlier, where someone may have been really close to their parents, and now that the parents are gone, there is this lack of emotional material, a lack of emotional resources that leaves a person adrift, stunted, in shock, feeling alone, feeling isolated, etc., what have you, okay? Because of a lack of either actual material, money, resources, home, financial stability, what have you, a lack mentality, I can't have this, or I hope I can have that, but maybe, just like whatever. Or a lack of emotional resources, not having friends to be close with, not having relatives that are with them anymore, that were that emotional sounding board, or that place where they could feel, actually attached to the world or a part of something. That's a whole mess. And I think maybe as it's the outcome, that could be revealed during or while moving towards that sun energy, possibly. Or it's just further compounding what we talked about over here, period. Where it's just going to be more of this, but this is just clarifying how it, or why it's going to be more of that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Lord have mercy. What a reading. Leo, your overall energy. 6 of air, aka 6 of swords. Knowledge. Yeah. That's very important to the situation. Having knowledge, having insight, having communication. Because what do we see? We see a satellite here hovering over the Earth or some planet, but most likely Earth. That's important here. Communication. Having insight into the situation, whether you're lacking insight, whether it's the other person, whether it's everybody involved, whoever. And being open with that communication is or being open with that information, thank you, or the knowledge, thank you, is very important, right? And interestingly enough, with that transmission of knowledge and information would come rapid movement, right? Because even though this is a static image of a satellite, up in space, satellites move incredibly fast. The Earth moves incredibly fast, right? If you think about it, right? I forget why, but we don't perceive ourselves moving as fast as we are here on Earth, but we're moving a fucking cliff. We're moving pretty damn fast, okay? So with knowledge, with the transmission of information and communication and all that stuff between you and other people or someone towards you, whatever it is, there would be some interest in movement, or something would be moved, something would be unstuck, is what that feels like. Going back here with what we were talking about in the beginning, this energy or this feeling of stuckness and no choice, stuck and no choice, stuck, no choice. 6 of Swords, traditionally in tarot, shows a man in a boat, presumably with his family. They're all huddled up in covers or in blankets or whatever, and he's navigating a boat from choppy waters to calmer waters, right? So there is this idea that moving away from drama and trauma, facing the music or facing whatever we were talking about earlier, and the open communication about that, the admitting of it, would be a freeing experience, would be an experience that could see static, immovable forces, energies, mindsets, self-belief, doubts, just shift. That is what is the crux of the situation, I feel. That is the key to all of this. And whether it's you, Leo, or someone else, the stagnancy, the rigidity, the isolation, and feeding further into it is not helpful. It's not helpful. A satellite reaches across miles, and it interacts with several different points, different people, different servers or hubs of technology. The communication between a satellite and its different locations is instantaneous, and it's a multitude, right? It's many, it's myriad. It's always moving. So something about always moving or always giving out and receiving. Giving and receiving information is very important. That is helpful here. That's what that feels like, okay? Man, did we go on for a while or what? I apologize, Leah, for how long it was, but this was a very detailed message. I don't think it's going to apply to the vast majority of Leos, but if it did apply to you, if you found something here that did resonate with you, please like the video. Please leave a comment down below. Feel free to share the video, let other people know you like my stuff. And if you haven't subscribed, my friends, please consider subscribing, okay? Leo, once again, I will be live with you guys on October, I'm getting all my months messed up today. August the 8th, 8/8 at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. If you want to join me for your live birthday readings, feel free to come to the chat, say hi, hang out, ask a question. I'll be doing it for at least an hour probably. So feel free to come if you have free time that day. If you want a personal reading, again, you can get that information down in the description box. Leo, I will be back soon with your mid-August messages. Be sure to check your Leo playlist for your birthday message, which I recorded about a week and a half ago or something like that. And I will speak to you guys soon. I thank you all so much for watching this video. Take care.